Good morning. Guess what time it is? According to my time watch, it's time for Bibles for breakfast. So let's open up our Bibles to Proverbs chapter 27. Now, sometimes when you're reading the Bible, the Lord just floods you with scriptures, and that's the case this morning. I think that there's a good exhortation, not only here in the proverb, but we see it later in the book of James. So do not boast about tomorrow, for you do not know what the day may bring forth. Well, if you turn to James real quick, James chapter 4, James wrote quite a bit about this. In James 4:13, he says this, "Come now, you who say today or tomorrow, we will go such and such a city, spend a year there, buy and sell and make a profit. Whereas you do not know what will happen tomorrow. For what is your life? It is even a vapor that appears for a little time and then vanishes away. Instead, you ought to say, if the Lord wills, we shall live and do this or that. But now you boast in your arrogance. All such boasting is evil. If the Lord wills, if God allows, if God permits, if God directs, then I will go this place or that place. I will do this event. I do that event. I plan my day, but I always put the caveat there, Lord willing, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. And then there's a surety in that that you're not seeking in a selfish mode or in a selfish way, or you demand your rights. What you do then is just direct your heart in the will and the purpose of the Lord for you in your day. It shows a submission point of your letting God be the director. In all your ways, acknowledge Him, and He will direct your path. I think that's important for us. Make your plans, but let the Lord guide your steps. And if God gives you an okay on it, and say, Lord willing, I'm going on vacation. Lord willing, I'm going to get this work done or this task done. I have a desire in my heart to do it, but I'm going to put aside what I want so that the Lord may direct me and guide me in my day. Okay. Let another man praise you and not your own mouth, a stranger and not your own lips. We're talking about pride here, arrogance. The arrogant man always is inflating himself. He's the one whose hat size always changes because his ego puffs up his head, puff up his arrogance. So don't walk around telling people how good you are. Just do your work and do your best, and then let them notice godliness in you and compliment you in your willingness to submit to the Lord. A stone is heavy and sand is weighty, but a fool's wrath is heavier than them both. Do you know why? Because it there's a weight to it and it doesn't stop. When somebody is expressing wrath, they usually it's like they just lose control until this wrathful feeling, this wrathful direction, this wrathful purpose in them is gone. So here he says again, a fool's wrath is heavier than them both. Uh, don't worry about the weights and measures. Just watch out for that wrath of the fool because it will bog you down and it will become a heavier weight than sand or stone. Wrath is cruel and anger a torrent. Who is able to stand before jealousy? So now he makes another comparison here. He says wrath is cruel. When the wrath is being poured out, uh, Wrath to me is a form of discipline gone bad because it's controlled by emotion and it's controlled by feelings. And it's the ultimate of pouring one's anger out. Wrath is. Anger is a torrent. In other words, it sweeps through. Person might get mad and explode for a moment, but then 15 minutes later, he's at peace with himself. Who is able to stand before jealousy? Now, jealousy is when you become, you want what someone else has to the place that you cannot rest until you have what they have, until you've achieved what they've achieved, until you find the acclaim that they have found. And jealousy is we say it's cruel too, but jealousy is something that you have to do away with in your life so it doesn't overwhelm you and you lose your focus on where you're going and focus only on what somebody else has or has been given because you've become so focused on it rather than focused on what you need to be your life, just living your life. Open rebuke is better than love carefully concealed. In the book of Galatians, it talks about how Peter came and became associated with the Jews when he was in Galatia. And he said, you forgot about the Christians there, and Paul says, you found yourself falling again under the shadow of the Jews because you were trying to uh, show them how Jewish you were. Whereas when the Gentiles were here, you were trying to show them what a Gentile, what a great, you weren't bound by the law, you were bound in the freedom of Christ. So he rebuked them. Later on in one of the other letters, I think it's First or Second Peter, Peter talks about how he loves Paul and what a great man Paul was, and I believe that's a direct reference to Paul's rebuke that he gave him when he was in Galatia. It says, open rebuke is better than love carefully concealed. Now, carefully concealed, not letting anybody know that you love, not letting anybody see that you have the emotion and the care and the concern of love, the sensitivity of love. Uh, open rebuke is better because it purges. I think open rebuke purges out the poison of self. Faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful. If your friend is truly your friend, he will never use your shortcomings. He will never use your failings. He will never use your weakness against you. But if he's a true friend, he will pray and be guided, and he will be directed that the rebuke is for your betterment. And the wound that he causes is a bruise or a hurt, or, you've heard people say, you've cut me to the quick. Well, if it's needful and it's purposeful and it saves that person falling later on, then there's a benefit to it. Then there's a purpose behind it. Then there's wisdom in the rebuke. But the kisses of an enemy are deceitful. He'll kiss you on one cheek and slap you on the other. Or while he's kissing you on the cheek, he stabs you in the back. The enemy, he's not for you. Your enemy is not for you. So you have to be careful of your enemies. Long time ago, I was taught, keep your enemies where you can see them. Keep your enemies where you can keep an eye on them at all times. A satisfied soul loathes the honeycomb, but to the hungry soul, every bitter thing is sweet. Again, what's he talking about here? Your desire for things. The hungry man, you can eat pickles and be satisfied. If you're hungry, they taste great. But if you're satisfied, you've just finished a meal, the last thing you want to do is gorge yourself. And here he says on honeycomb. Because again, remember we said if you eat too much honey, it'll make you sick a couple days ago. So the satisfied soul loathes, doesn't want any part of it. Get that away from me. Pumpkin pie at Thanksgiving. Get that away from me. I don't want any more. I can't take it. It's going to make me sick. But the man who comes in, hard day in the field, he doesn't care what's on the table, whether it be beans or a steak. He's going to relish it. It's delightful because it satisfies his hunger. Like a bird that wanders from its nest is a man who wanders from his place. You see this sometimes when you're out working in the yard. You see a tiny little bird fluttering around. Robins they do this all the time. They'll fall out of the nest and then they'll just hop around, and the mother robin or father robin will come down and try to guide them to a place that's safe. But if left on their own, they'll just die because they're exposed and they don't know how to handle themselves. They haven't thoroughly been taught how to take care of themselves. So the bird that wanders from its nest is one who doesn't know how to get back to a safe place. Is the man who wanders from his place. You go where you're not supposed to go. Now, whether you're drawn away by your lust, or by your lust, curiosity, you're not able to get back where you need to be. So he says, beware, beware. Ointment and perfume delight the heart, and the sweetness of a man's friend gives delight by hearty counsel. So you can take this right back up to verse 6. The good friend who cares for you. Notice what it says, that if ointment and perfume delight your heart, then the sweetness, the tender care of a man's friend gives delight by what? Hearty counsel, faithful counsel, caring counsel. Counsel in a way that person is very attentive to the need of his friend and gives him the best counsel for the situation. Do not forsake your own friend or your father's friend, nor go to your brother's house in the day of calamity. Better is a neighbor nearby than a brother far away. Why? Immediate response. Go to your neighbor and say, hey, I need some help over here. My wife, refrigerator fell on my wife. Well, you can't go to your brother's house if he lives 20 miles away and wait for him to get here. You need a immediate reaction. So better is a neighbor nearby than a brother far away. It's not saying your brother's not good, but it's saying having friends or having those around you who can help you because they care about you is a great thing to have. My son, be wise and make my heart glad, that I may answer him who reproaches me. Well, a reproach is somewhat of a rebuke, challenges him. Why did your son do this? Or why did you do that? And it says, uh, make my heart glad that I may answer him. If your father needs to explain what you've done, let it be with good reason and cause. So the person who would bring accusation against the son or daughter would be found uh, out of line. And once the reasoning is given as to why they did what they did, they see the benefit of it. They see the benefit of it. A prudent man, prudent, one who's attentive, one who knows what's going on. He's always aware of what's happening. A prudent man foresees evil and hides himself. The simple pass on and are punished. Let me just give you a little example. You're driving in your car and you're daydreaming, and all you do is you're focusing on the road ahead. And you don't see the car coming from this way, and you don't see the car coming from this way. And you just keep plowing right through, and you wind up in an accident. Now, the accident could have been avoided, couldn't it? if you would have been paying attention to what's around you. Your eyes are moving, you're focusing on the situation. When I was a truck driver, it says you're focusing on the big picture, not the little picture, the big picture. So you're able to react in a way that's safe. Well, the prudent man does that. He sees evil coming, it says, and he avoids it. He avoids that evil. The simple pass on and are punished. Well, how are they punished? By doing what's wrong. And they have to be punished for inappropriate actions, inappropriate words and deeds, inappropriate reaction, if you would. Then verse 13, take the garment of him who is surety for a stranger, and hold it in pledge when he is surety for a seductress. Take the garment of your friend, of him who is surety from a stranger. I'm going to insure a stranger's debt. I'm going to make sure that it gets paid. So you take that man's cloak and you hold it so he doesn't literally give everything away to back up a loan or something that he's done for a foreigner or a stranger, and so to make sure that he doesn't have everything that he has taken from him. Hold it in pledge when he is surety for a seductress. In other words, that woman who lures him away. And, if you'd only give me this or if you'd only give me that, then I'd know that there's something going on that we can, our relationship is on a building basis. So, well, here, I'll loan you my car. I'll let you live in my house. And it turns out that she's a seductress, and that what that means is she's seducing him to do her will. He who blesses his friend with a loud voice, rising early in the morning, it will be counted a curse to him. Loud talkers, loud responders, sometimes better a little bit of peace in the morning, a bit of quiet in the morning, till you can get your head together, till you can think straight, till you can set your course on what God wants you to do for the day. The person who comes in and who is loud and boisterous and doesn't really isn't concerned about anybody else in the room, doesn't care what they're going through. He just wants to make himself heard. And that can be pretty irritating sometimes. Well, we'll stop there for this morning. And Lord willing, we'll pick up in Proverbs 27:15 tomorrow. Hey, it's a beautiful day outside. Pretty cold. 27 degrees. Dress warm. Be aware of what's going on around you. If you got animals or pets outside, make sure that they're warm enough, they're taken care of. And may the Lord bless your day. Excuse me. Amen.